dream. Hope you enjoy it. Bob gave him a serious nod and he watched as Charlie disappeared down the warren of streets like hundreds of boys before him. Bob was pleased as he knew that he had made inroads, and he felt the binoculars hidden in the folds of his heavy coat, and he knew that they would come in handy. Charlie didn't know what to do with himself, so he decided to keep walking. He had so many thoughts wheezing around his head about Tinker, Bob and his mum, that it was hard for him to concentrate on where he was going, and he was beginning to get a headache. The alleyways seemed to go on forever, but gradually Charlie could see a light in the distance, and the once grey sky was now turning blue. His spirits lifted a little as he stepped out of the dingy alley and over a pedestrian crossing, and he could see endless green fields in the distance. He decided to head there to see what he could discover. Charlie's mood improved as he got further into the countryside, and he forgot his troubles, as a robin darted in front of him with a twig balanced precariously in its mouth. Charlie didn't notice this, but the further he got into the field, the higher the hedge became, and soon it was impossible for him to see over the top. It was like he was in a maze. He breathed in the sights and the sounds of the countryside. It was intoxicating. It was almost as if he was under a spell, but a nice one. He never heard the van approaching so slowly, and he never saw the man peering at him through dark glasses with his knuckles white against the steering wheel. The man was watching Charlie intently, and he was waiting for his time to strike, like a cat playing with a mouse. Charlie heard the squeak of the brakes, and he looked up at the poorly painted van, and then he looked at the angry-looking driver. It made him feel uncomfortable. He looked up at the foliage above, and he began to feel small. There was no way that he could climb over. He could see the blue of the sky and the pure wispy clouds, and he wished he could reach them to safety. Hello, viewers. Hope you enjoy my reading. The van slowed to a snail's pace, and Charlie quickened. He could feel his heart thump in his chest, and it was if everyone could hear it. Charlie really wished that Tinker was here to help him. The driver had pulled down the window, and he was beginning to chat to Charlie, but Charlie couldn't hear over the sound of the radio, which was blasting out, scaring the cows and Charlie in equal measure. Hello, viewers, please sub me if you like it. As the man got closer, Charlie felt like he was walking in treacle. Each step he took seemed to take an eternity. He wished that he could blind the driver with a quick blast of webbing and then bound over the van athletically and be gone down the lane. Suddenly the radio was silenced, and the van door swung open, and a large, heavily bearded man stepped down in front of him and blocking his path. Charlie gulped. I'm done for, he thought, as his too short life flashed before him. Charlie knew that he had to run, but he felt like his feet were welded to the ground. The man stood before him, and he was huge, thought Charlie. He was like a giant with a huge belly and a beard, and his bulging arms were covered in purple tattoos and scars. He looked like an angry wrestler who no one would want to get in the ring with. Right, 50. 1 minute, just turning the page. Page 51. He bent down to Charlie as if he was going to devour him. Why are you looking so frightened and worried? The man said, with a soft kindness in his voice and a warm smile. Charlie was still frightened, but maybe he wasn't in danger, he thought. After all he hoped, the giant man put his hand on Charlie's slight shoulder. I'm not going to hurt you, he said. It's just that you look so lost, he added with concern. Charlie's fears melted, and he slowly began to relax. Oh, I wasn't lost, said Charlie, offering a small white lie. I was just daydreaming and admiring the countryside, he said with a smile. I wish I had so much time on my hands that I could admire the countryside, said the van man. And with that comment, he climbed back into his huge truck and parked his horn, and then he drove off with a friendly wave. Charlie watched him disappear into the distance, and he breathed a sigh of relief, and he wiped his sweaty palms on his trousers. He vowed to be more careful in the future and not to drift off too far on his own. Rain clouds were gathering in the sky and he was getting hungry. It was getting near dinner time, and that was one meal he didn't want to miss. The sky began to rumble like his stomach, and he quickened his pace. Hope you like that, viewers. Please sub me if you like it. I'll be reading more later.